on one hand, we have to remember that we don't want to be superstitious. Candles don't have power. Talismans don't have power. The perfumes don't have power. If I took this talisman into to somebody to have it scientifically analyzed and just say, can you tell me what kind of, occult powers are in there? Something unusual. I'm sure some kind of crazy, unusual thing is in there. They would analyze it and say, well, it's paper and pencil and some kind of perfume, and that's it. There's nothing unusual there, right? Because these aren't inherently magical ingredients. The candle's not magical, the talisman's not magical, nothing's magical in and of itself. It's these all tools, including talismans, are nothing but devices of communication to our deep mind. So, but remember, the deep mind speaks in symbols. So even though we know we don't want to be superstitious and think, oh, the talisman is going to vibrate special energies and cause things to happen. We don't want to think that way, because that's not true. That's not what's happening. But to the deep mind, its language is symbols. So if you're not consistent with your symbols and you don't respect the symbols, you're not going to get good results in magic. So for instance, if I give a spell to somebody for like we have a weight loss spell online, I want to make things very, very simple for people. I don't like to overcomplicate anything. So I gave a spell for that weight loss spell using specific symbols for what we're working with. We're working with the planet of Venus, and so this is on a Friday, and you're going to use rose water and salt, I think is what is called for. So very, very easy symbols to work with, not hard to get. Now, of course, what can I substitute for ... What can I substitute for that rose water? Well, okay, I understand. Now, because maybe you can't get rose water in your country or something like that. Maybe that's just an odd thing, if where you are. So they'll say things like, can I substitute rainwater? Or can I substitute moon water Can I substitute moon water for the rose water? Well, you can do anything you want, but just understand what moon water is versus rose water. Moon water, I'm assuming, meaning you took some water and charged it under the light of the moon, right? So that symbol is a lunar symbol, not a Venusian symbol. So if you want to do that weight loss spell the way that I have it, your substitute, if you have to substitute something, has to be another Venus symbol. You can't it's just any old water will do, because then it won't make sense to your deep mind what you're trying to do. You're not tapping into anything within the Akashic records to give you extra power. You're just doing whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, because you for whatever reason. Now, sometimes it's because you can't help it. Like I said, in some countries they can't get rose water, so we find an alternate, just a substitute. We can do some other symbol that gives us the same results. So we find another way around it. But a lot of times it's that I don't want to go get water. Can I just use tap water? I don't want to go get rose water. That sounds like a lot of work. I don't want to do that. I want to go get. Can I just use tap water? Well, you get what you put into it. You get what you put into it. Somebody said, well, can I just use, I can just do it on Wednesday. I don't have to do it on Friday, because Wednesday's the catch-all day. And my point is, well, is it that you can't do it on Friday? Like you're working all day, there's something happening that you absolutely can't do it on Friday? No, I just don't want to. I'd rather do it tomorrow because it's sooner. Well, that's not good enough. That's not good enough, because you're not respecting the symbol. It's like, meh, whatever. Well, then your results are meh, whatever, because you've told your deep mind, meh, whatever, right? So it doesn't behoove us to just say, well, it's just symbolic, so who cares? We have to respect the symbol. We have to understand why things are constructed the way they are. Some spells are very well constructed. Some spells are just arbitrary. Sometimes I see stuff online for, this is a blah, blah, blah spell. And I'm thinking, why? Why those ingredients? Why that? What's that doing for your deep mind? What kind of it's like if you think of a spell as like a paragraph that you're giving to your deep mind in symbols, using hopefully strong symbols that have a lot of akashic energy, meaning people have used them for generations, so they built up power in them. So that your communication to your deep mind is very clear and very powerful and very substantial. Just doing whatever doesn't make any difference to your deep mind. Your deep mind will not understand. I have a spell on there for I think it was for the success stick, and so we were using those success sticks use cinnamon sticks. And can I just use any old stick? Like, you can do anything you want, but what about any old stick is going to help you symbolically? Now, I'm not saying that it won't work. If you're really convincing to your deep mind that this stick is now a success stick, yes, it'll work. But you're also not going to be, hooking into the Akashic records of all of that cinnamon success. There's so much success magic built up around using cinnamon. So if you use a cinnamon stick, you're hooking into those solar vibrations. So it's a solar spell in that particular regard. It could be another. Sometimes cinnamon can be Mars, but the way it's used here, it's solar. So you want another solar kind of stick. So maybe looking up the correspondences of the different trees which are sacred to the sun. And if you're going to use a stick, at least use another stick that's sacred to the sun. But ask yourself, why do I want to substitute it? Is it just that I don't want to go to the grocery store and buy some cinnamon sticks? And I'd rather just pick up a stick out of the yard and that'll do? Well, then you're going to get those kinds of results for yourself, right? So yes, it is symbolic. No, there's no inherent magic in these objects. And you don't want to be superstitious, but that doesn't mean anything goes. Okay? So beware that. Be very careful to respect your symbols and don't think you know everything all the time. Maybe you don't know better. Maybe you don't know why a spell is constructed the way it is. If that's true, ask somebody that does know to see if you have to do a substitution, what the better substitution would be, that rather than just doing whatever. And don't always look to substitute. I think people are so fast to substitute just because they don't want to bother. They don't want to bother with whatever it is. But luckily for everybody, I always use ingredients that are super easy to find. They're not exotic, and there's usually only 1, 2, or 3 ingredients at most. And so respect your symbols, and you will have effectiveness in your magic.